Head of Settlement Studies at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Ahadzie, is calling for a Flood Control Act. Professor Ahadzie identifies the current building regulations and codes offer limited guidelines and are not fit for purpose. He also believes that the act will help elevate flooding as a national issue, regulate many aspects of construction and civil engineering. From Kumasi, Kwesi Deborah reports.
At Abuabo, in the Asukoro municipality of the Ashanti region, 14-year-old Ibrahim and his friends are on a casual fishing expedition. The flood-prone areas rendered this house almost uninhabitable. A family of 8 has managed to stay here since the situation worsened some 4 years ago. Fishers in nearby rivers have therefore found it a safe haven. This is one of the many houses in the vicinity battling with flood waters. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is therefore planning to demolish these houses. Before that, KNUST Head of Settlement Studies, Professor Ahadzie, is urging government to have a scheme in place to resettle all persons living in flood-prone areas.
I'm proposing that if you look at all these low-lying areas and the flood-prone areas, it is time for the government to move in to acquire those areas and do re-engineering of the whole area. Otherwise, we shall be going back and forth on this discussion of flooding every year. But then, because normally the government wants to go and demolish and displace the people, that is not the solution. The solution is a whole re-engineering. But then before the government will do that, they will need to resettle the people, because it's a right for the people to have a housing, and that should also be the government's top priority.
He believes engaging all communities in flood-prone areas to begin flood risk management at the micro level rather than the over-concentration on the macro level.
So that's why going forward, I'm saying that for the long term, we need that kind of re-engineering of our settlements. But then in the short term, we are talking about a community-based flood risk management, which we need to bring the community should be able to develop their own flood risk plan, have a committee together, and then develop their recovery plan and meet regularly on flooding issues, and that will help in addressing flooding at the community level as a short-term phenomenon. And with the way things are going now, when it comes to flood design, the building code and the building regulation is not specific, it's just general, and even the code captures just a few areas on flooding. But now that it has become a national issue, we need a flood control act that will guide everything relating to settlement design and planning, so that when one is executing a project, flooding will not be something that one has to do because it's at one's own will, but the law mandates the person to execute certain things because the place is likely to flood for it. And I'm also seeing a situation where when you have the Flood Control Act, it will help to raise flooding as a national issue.
Until these measures are put in place, Ibrahim and his friends will discover more houses for their expedition. For JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.